All right, so this is going to be the rendering tutorial. So please only engage in this tutorial if you are finished with all of your other drawings. Very important, this is just an extra credit assignment that you would need done and printed out for your final presentation on Wednesday. So again, if you're done with everything else, feel free to follow along. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is take our object. We have all of these from before. You can either bring this into its own file or you can work in the same one. If your computer's acting a little slow, that's a good sign to just start a new file for this. All right, so I'm taking my Boolean union model and, just as a starting point, we want to just change the whole material to something else. If I wanted it to be grass, a rock, concrete. I can make it a tree bark, something, a natural material, just because this is a landscape. So we're gonna have some grass, maybe some tree tops. So why not? And I'm gonna just make a new layer for this and change the material here to something custom. All right, so I can change it to a picture. And, default on my computer, I have uh, trees. So why don't I just drop in some trees? Drop in these trees are fine. All right, and I can then change this object to layer and then go into my rendered view and I see that image projected all over the site. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing, except we're going to get a little bit more specific. So you might have some areas paved with concrete through your park, and so that might be down here, might be the top of the bridge. You'll have a little bit of space. And so we're just going to get into how to do that. So let's get started. Let's go back into your shaded view, and I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to make this a rock material. So I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to download some textures. All right, maybe you want it to be grassy, or maybe you want it to have stone like this. So it's more like a rockscape. So I'm just going to save image as, and we'll save that here, tutorial 3. And I'll make a new file for rendered materials. All right, so in here, I'm going to call this uh, Seamless Stone 01. All right, now I'm not actually sure. Good, it's a JPEG. So I'm going to go into this rock layer, change my material to a picture, and I'm going to go to my tutorials folder, rendering images, and grab this stone. Okay, so this is going to be called, actually, it's not very smart, but yep, so this is just going to be a new material. Okay, so I'm going to switch again to my rendered view and then change this object to that new layer. And now I see that stone projected over the entire site. All right, so very simple little thing. Some of you have water ponds, so what you might want to do is go back to shaded, dupe face border, select that face, line or surface that, or we can actually extrude curve, and we'll go up maybe quarter inch, and we're gonna make a new layer for water, and we're going to take, let's see, more types. Nope, that's not the answer. Oh, I'm just trying to see if they have a default that we could use. If not, we'll just download an image. That's fine. More types. Hmm. All right, that's fine. We'll just make another image. So let's just download a material. There are other ways to do this in V-Ray, which is a different rendering type of platform. But just for this assignment, this is sufficient. So this is my image. I'm gonna actually back out of that. And I'm not sure if it's gonna let me save this image per se. Seamless, I'll run a virus scan later, just in case. So now I have an image to import. So we're just gonna go to more types. I'll bring in a picture, grab it from here. And now I'm gonna just change this to be a little bit shiny. So texture, I want it to be, let's see, that's apply, transparency, that's fine. Transparency, I guess we could increase that a little bit. This water's, supposed to be see-through. All right, and let's see. Grayscale, seamless, self-illumination, why not? I don't really like it. Okay. All right, that's fine for this. And now I'm going to take that object and I'm going to apply it to the water. So change object layer. Rendered, we see the water. Okay. All right, so now if you want to get a little bit more specific, where maybe you have a lot of grass at the top, but maybe it's a lot of dirt down on the bottom. So let's find a seamless soil. Because maybe the walking path is a little bit more worn, where we have high circulation. So let's just download this material, save image as dirt. All right, we'll make another layer for dirt. And just like before, we're going to bring in a picture. We got some dirt. Okay, and what I'm going to do is explode this and just start changing faces to different layers. Change object layer. All right, so I know that I have dirt down there. If I want to import some grass, let me go to, online, grab some grass, save image as, make sure that's JPEG, some basic grass, bring in the picture. Again, this is a very basic way to apply, you know, material to an object. So just, know that it gets better than this. So let's just change these objects and see how we're doing. So that's a very large scale. So what you might want to do later on is change, modify that so that the texture is not as kooky crazy. And so you could do that here. And you might just want to reduce the scale. Let's link that, lock those into place. And there we go. So I just scaled it down using that box tool. Think that would be very tall pieces of grass for our people walking through the space. So you could do that with any texture. Let's see, what else can we do? Inside the spaces, I think leaving them as the carved earth, like carved stone makes a lot of sense. Maybe some of these vertical shoots we can say is a chopped down tree. So let's go back to our tree bark layer and let's download an image for a tree bark. So save image as, again, make sure that it is a JPEG. I'll call it tree bark. All right, let's change this picture. Tree bark. All right, and I will change object layer. And this is another example of something that needs to be scaled. So I'm going to go back to the properties, go to this texture mapping, use the box mapping tool to be sufficient, lock it down, scale it down. All right, so now the bark is scaled down to the model, and that's covered. All right, so maybe this face needs to be the same material as that. So let's just cover this up with some grass. Gonna change it to the grass layer. All right, and maybe let's see, what else should we do? We'll leave the stone down here, leave the stone there. Okay. I think this is fine for right now. Let's just select all these layers and go back to our texture mapping, and maybe we could scale all of these textures down a little bit because it does seem a little extreme. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now it looks a lot more realistic when I'm walking through this, and now you see the need for bringing in your, your stairs and such. But what you can also do is let's join this and see what happens. All right, so that does not work. So let me just select both of these at once. I'll just select this object as if it's one piece. And what I'm going to do is a little trick to manipulate a surface. I cannot guarantee that it's going to come out very nicely, but we're going to try our best. And I'm going to cage edit this so that I can make this more walkable. So cage edit allows us to manipulate poly surfaces and turn them into meshes. So I'm going to change this Z point to just 2 points. And let's change this to 12 and that to 12. All right, so now I have all these different fit points. So just like when we're drawing polylines and poly surfaces, um, actually probably could have gotten away with fewer of these. But you see I'm manipulating the landscape so that it's nice and curved, so that it's more walkable. It's not as much of a, not as much of a climb. Like it still is absolutely a climb, but this allows us to manipulate our spaces to make it feel more natural, and more carved. So feel free to do that, um, to improve your spaces. All right. And again, this is something that's not required. That's why it's extra credit. But if you find yourself wanting to really get into different ways of manipulation, that Cage Edit tool really helps. So again, I clicked Cage Edit, Bounding Box, World. I have a lot of X and Y points. I'm going to reduce that to 8. I still only want to keep 2 points for the height. All right, so you see it still seems like a lot of points, but we could work it out. So again, I'm bringing this down to the ground. All right, maybe I want to select more points in this. So let's just grab them from here. And I'm only selecting the top points. I don't want to select any of the bottom points, just because I'm trying to shrink it down to the bottom. So now you see me manipulating it, and it's actually a step downward from the stone, which is pretty cool, but I'm gonna bring it back up. All right, but you see I lost my gap over here. So what I would have to do to correct that, I'll delete this. Control point is scale this 1D or extrude that curve at least. So let's see. Scale 1D, start point, end point, bring it down. All right, so now it's like my tree's growing out of this mass. but it's more of a walkable surface. All right, so why don't we do that to the rest over here? I'll do that to this plane, page edit, bounding box, world. Oh, that's why the Y was so crazy. I had it at 28. All right, so page edit, bounding box, world. Maybe I'll go back to 12 for this because that didn't really give me many options. All right, yeah, that's good. All right, so I'm just gonna click the points that I know are involved in this plane, and I'm gonna bring those down to the ground. All right, I went a little too far. All right, so now I have two walkable surfaces right then and there. All right, if I feel like I need to do that to this as well, absolutely, why not? Page edit, bounding box, world, same points as before, turn them on, grab the points I want to manipulate, and just bring it down. All right, now I can actually trim this exterior face. So let's see if that's possible. Use this to cut that, and it is. Perfect. All right, let's do the same to our bridge here. So cage edit, bounding box, world, and this one, I'm gonna select these. This row I'll bring a little bit lower, make it more of a gradual, natural, earthly bridge. All right, and then it just spans across the way. All right, so these are just little tips and tricks that you can use to manipulate your landscape, make it feel a little bit more like a landscape. Um, and it's pretty exciting. All right, once you have these views set, I want you to drop in to your space itself. And just like your photographs for your physical model that you created, I want you to set up your named views. All right, so let's do that. So open up your named views, capture, see, where is it? Set view, named views. I'm gonna set up a new view, rendering 01. Maybe over here, I'm gonna have rendering 02. All right, and if you're doing this, please save, um, at least 4 of these views. It's nice to see these little caverns beneath the surface. So I'm going to save this as rendering 03. And in here, at my entryway, I'm going to make this rendering 04. That's actually very similar to my first view, so maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll do a different one altogether. And you're going to save your favorite views. So view capture to file. And we're gonna avoid doing this viewport because it's a little tricky. So I'm gonna save this log viewport as aspect ratio. This way nothing, really changes. And my size for my width, I'm going to change to 10. And so it'll automatically change the height. And that should be sufficient. Okay. And this is, just us trying to get this from being blurry. So this is rendering O1. So if you are doing these rendered views, I do advise printing somewhere outside of school, just because I don't think the school prints in color. So, please look into that. If you could print it from home or Staples, I can't get you colored prints, but it would make a huge difference. All right, again, view capture to file, good settings. It's rendering 4 and view capture to file. This is going to be rendering 05. All right. So now we have all those views. We're going to open up Photoshop. And we're going to get a nice picture of some sky. This is a nice one. Save image as. All right, and we're going to open each of those images that you just saved. And for each of these, we're going to drop in that sky behind it. Selection tool, draw a window over the object, and one by one, you're going to create another layer behind behind your object. All right, so layer 2, you're going to drag down to below layer 1 just so that it's in the background, and Control T for transform, and you can just manipulate your sky to be in the background. All right, some of you might choose a gloomy sky to use. Um, you know, you can, if you're in the middle of a desert, or maybe you want it to look like it's in the nighttime, you get a night sky view. That actually might be pretty cool. Let's get a galaxy background. Why not? Go a little sci-fi. It's extra credit anyways. All right, let's go back to here. Let's open that because that's very fun. All right, very artificial, but that's okay. Oh, unfortunately, we can't put it on this one. So let's go here. All right, and press enter, bring it back. Wow, look at that. I really like this. That's pretty fun. All right, so let's just fill in this bottom piece here. You see that it got cut off. So what we're gonna do is just take this portion of our image, edit it, and stretch it. All right, so I selected it and then Control T to transform it, and it just became a continuation of the space. All right, so now you have to go to a scale figure website. So non-Scandinavia is always good. All right, and let's get some silhouettes in here. Let's save as. All right, let's see who else do we want to drop in. Why not? Save image as. Perfect. Maybe you'll have some people dancing in your park, some people running. All right, so now let's bring in those people. These performers, I imagine, on the interior of the space, so let's give that a try. And remember what scale we're working in. We know that the height of this is 8 feet, because, it was 1 inch tall. So just remember that when you're placing your people. If you want to place them over here or over there, just keep that in mind. Maybe they're jumping over here where it's a higher ceiling. All right, great. So that one is done. We can do file, save the copy. Great. Let me hide this video panel. All right. So now this person right here, maybe they're doing a trick off of the edge. So let's move them up to the top. And that's a very risky move, I would say. But let them do their thing, I guess. All right, just remember to keep the scale reasonable. So if they're in the distance, try to get them to watch themselves. That's a little very risky. Look at them jumping off the edge over there. All right, let's see, who else do I have? We'll copy this person and we'll just place them over here. Should be a little shorter than that. Great. So let's file, save the copy. Perfect. All right, what other people do we have? This couple. Strolling around the pond. You know that they have to be a little bit taller. All right, they gotta watch their dog, make sure it doesn't end up in the pool. All right, so maybe what we want to do actually is transform them. Control T, transform, and I will just flip them horizontally. There we go. Much nicer. Less risky. All right, file, save the copy, save. Good. All right, so we have number one saved. And save this as a Photoshop file, please. File two, save as a Photoshop file. We're closing. File. Did I save file three yet? I'm not sure. So I have one, two, three. I don't have four yet. And I need five saved, but I do have three, so that's good. All right, so three is saved. Good. Rendering four. Say who's going to activate this space? Person on the bike. All right, and maybe we will bring back, maybe we'll get some people just walking by. Happy little family, save image as, okay. Happy little family, copy, and paste. I'll keep them in the distance, so they have to get a little bit shorter, right? Because we know that that's 8 feet, right? So that's how we figure out how to place them. All right, so file, Save a copy. Okay. Make sure you save it as a Photoshop file. Okay. All right, and our last site here, we're gonna have those people running. And maybe they're running at the top of the bridge because that's pretty cool. Nope, it doesn't work with their layout. All right, that's fine. They'll run this way. We're just going for a little jog. And let's see if we could have someone sitting over here. Why not? Let's find a sitting person. All right. Kind of perched, but really close to the edge. So maybe they're gonna sit over here. And in that case, they should get a bit smaller. All right, and let's get these conversationists. All right, you could have a lot of fun with this. Honestly, you could spend um, a lot of time doing this. Don't spend too much time because, you're doing your test print on Tuesday on the draft presentation. Nope, that scale doesn't work here, so these people will not work for us. We need something straight on so that it makes it more realistic. So they will not do. These people will do though. You have to try and make it look natural. So if the person's at an angle, then you have to make sure that your site's at an angle. Okay. And let's drop in the cosmic background here. I really like this background so much. Very cool. All right, so file, save a copy. All right, now these are they're very basic renderings, nothing crazy. I'm gonna create a new file. And yeah, I want it to be vertical, non-facing pages. And so basically what I need you to do is copy the same vertical template as the F parent. So select everything here, Control C for copy. Then in your new document, Control Shift Alt V. All right, it's going to paste it perfectly, perfectly aligned. I actually should have done that on the parent page, but let's do that now. Control Shift V, great. So now back on page one, or, in the parent page, just change your name. Hello. No, I'll just put my name for an example. And now in here, you're going to go back to page one, and you're going to duplicate this. I wonder why that's like that. I can't remember why I made this off center, but that's okay. We'll make it work. I'm sure there was some reason for it. All right, so back on page one, Control D. I'm going to go to my rendered images and I'm going to drop all 5 of these in here. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna press open and I'm just gonna draw them. All right, another page, drop it. as I said, you're going to choose your favorite renderings from this. All right, and what you can also do is crop. If you don't have 5 renderings, what you can do is just crop an image and have it cover multiple pages. So if I cropped this right here and I moved it like that, I can copy this. If I duplicated this page, I can just show the other side of the image. All right, so let's do the same thing here. Just try to keep within the frame boundaries. Oh, and you see I made a little mistake. It should not be on that student name layer. It should be on a different layer. It should be on layer 1. So make sure you follow the layer protocols, please. All right, so I'm just stretching this. The same size as the frame. Right, and I'm going to crop it. And same thing here, I'm going to duplicate it. So really, you can totally get away with only doing 2 renderings and making all 4 out of them. Right, so there's not really a lot of pressure. Like, look how great that looks. All right, very quick, very, rugged, simple, but we get a sense of the space that you created. And that's why this is, a nice little editing tool. All right, and here, maybe I want to focus on just, capturing the people in this. So when I place this, you don't have to follow the frame entirely. Um, Not essential, but I do want to make sure that the height and width does not exceed the frame that I created for you. All right, we'll drop this one in. Oh, now again, this is a separate document, so please make sure that you print this in color. Maybe I'll just give you guys this template. Um, Maybe I'll distort it a little bit. As long as it's not too distorted. Again, this is just your extra credit portion. All right, so save all of these and print them. And for the final review, they will just be pinned up adjacent to these verticals. All right, because everything here is 11 inches tall. All right, so 11, 11, 11, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4 when you pin up. All right, so rather than the 84 inches, we're going to have another 8.5 inches on top of that. All right, please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help.